This is World Report. Good morning. I'm Marcia Young. Canada's relationship with the United States will be front and center today. Prime Minister Mark Carney will meet with the U.S. President Donald Trump at the White House. It is the first official sit-down for the two leaders since last week's federal election. Tariffs and Trump's comments about annexing Canada will likely add to the intensity of this meeting. The CBC's Richard Madden joins me now from Washington. And Richard, what are we expecting today?
Yeah, the White House agenda says the Prime Minister will arrive at the White House around 11:30 Eastern Time. There'll be an official greeting in the Oval Office before the two leaders hold a working lunch behind closed doors. Now, there are, of course, a lot of items on the agenda for this high-stakes meeting, from trade to tariffs to economic partnership. But with all that, there are the optics and unpredictability from President Trump when the cameras are rolling. Now, this is a president who's mused about annexing Canada, turning it into the 51st state, who will be sitting beside a prime minister who built his campaign against the Trump administration. Now, Trump's Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick sounded skeptical the two leaders will reach a deal or consensus on trade, while hurling more insults at Canada during an interview on Fox Business News.
They have their socialist regime, and it's basically feeding off of America. I mean, the president calls that out all the time. Why do we make cars in Canada? Why do we do our films in Canada? Come on.
Now, it's worth noting Trump has sounded less hostile to Canada and its prime minister since his election, and some journalists here say Trump appears to have taken credit for holding the Liberal government to a minority.
Richard, what impact could this have on Canada-U.S. relations?
Yeah, it is a high-stakes meeting, but the Prime Minister has already been downplaying expectations ahead of it, saying, don't expect a breakthrough. This is the first step to lower tensions and reset the strained relationship between the two countries. Now, from Trump's perspective, he says he's ready to make a deal on trade and tariffs, but the challenge appears to be the goalposts keep changing, and Trump's on-again, off-again tariff policy has left many industry and political leaders guessing.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
The CBC's Richard Madden in Washington. While Carney focuses on trade and tariffs, Conservative MPs are looking ahead to the return of Parliament. Under Pierre Poilievre, the party increased its votes and increased its seat count, but it didn't win. And Conservative MPs are regrouping at a caucus meeting today in Ottawa. Let's bring in Janice McGregor from our Parliamentary Bureau. And Janice, a lot for Conservatives to decide today. Walk us through that.
Marcia, there are some Conservatives who believe they lost because of Pierre Poilievre, but so far it appears there are more Conservatives who believe they almost won because of Poilievre, and he needs to keep going. Even MPs in the second camp, though, have to reckon with the fact that they're not in government and figure out where the blame lies. Does the fault lie with campaign manager Jenny Byrne, or were there factors beyond her control? Former Cabinet Minister Peter MacKay believes the caucus is going to want to see changes in the wake of what happened.
There'll be an airing of grievances, but there'll also be an emphasis on the positive things that happened in this campaign.
With the return of Parliament only weeks away, MPs have some key decisions to make on how much power their caucus is going to hold, whether they want as a group to control their membership, whether they want to be able to elect their chair, whether they want the power to launch a leadership review, and whether they want the right to choose a new interim party leader, like what happened after former leader Erin O'Toole lost the election in 2021. Because Pierre Poilievre failed to win a seat in the House of Commons, they need someone else to serve as leader of the official opposition, at least for the short term. If MPs pick someone today who's known to be a loyalist to Poilievre, that may be a sign that his leadership is safe for the longer term.
But an MP has already stepped aside so Poilievre can run in that riding. So why won't he be in the House this spring?
You're right. Damien Carrick has already volunteered to give up his very safe rural Alberta seat of Battle River Crowfoot. But there's a 30-day waiting period after a general election before he can do so. By the time that unfolds and it's declared vacant and they have a by-election campaign, that's simply not enough time to see Poilievre back in the House until likely the fall.
Thank you, Janice.
You're welcome.
The CBC's Janice McGregor in Ottawa. The federal NDP, meanwhile, have chosen an interim leader. Jagmeet Singh resigned on election night after the party's worst showing in history. For now, Vancouver MP Don Davies will be filling the role. Germany was supposed to get a new chancellor today, but there's been a surprising upset.
Mitgliederzahl 630, 21 ungültiger Stimmzettel. Einer.
That is the president of Germany's parliament reading out MP votes. Friedrich Merz was expected to be confirmed as chancellor. He's the leader of a majority coalition, but he was defeated by just 6 votes. That is something that has not happened in Germany since the Second World War. The Bundestag now has 14 days to elect a candidate with an absolute majority. Merz can run again, but so can other lawmakers. If none of them gets a majority in the next 2 weeks, the president can appoint the frontrunner as chancellor or call another election. Lawyers for the 5 former World Junior Hockey players accused of sexual assault will again today cross-examine the alleged victim known as EM. They are questioning her about her account of the alleged sexual assault in a London, Ontario hotel in 2018. As the CBC's Katie Nicholson reports, this trial is being watched closely by advocates and legal experts alike.
What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now!
Ever since her first day in court, supporters of EM have gathered outside the courthouse.
Culture has got to go! Hey, hey!
Those who work to end gender-based violence have taken a keen interest in the trial, even sitting in for her testimony, and especially her cross-examination. On Monday, that meant probing for inconsistencies between statements EM gave to Hockey Canada and London police, but also questions about how much she used to drink and whether she was really as intoxicated as she has testified.
Today we probably got a little bit of a taste of the cross-examination that's going to be happening.
Jessie Roger is with ANOVA, which among other things works with sexual assault victims.
I think that those of us who work in the field of sexual violence are going to be listening closely to how rape myths come into the courtroom.
We have to remember that this case is going to get tried in the courtroom and not on the courthouse steps.
London-based defense attorney Nick Cake, who isn't involved in the case but is watching it closely, says the accused's lawyers have to walk a fine line.
Ultimately, the Supreme Court has reminded defense counsel a number of times that we are to treat complainants in sexual assault matters with dignity and with respect.
But Cake says they also have to ask tough questions to properly represent their clients.
When you're in front of a jury, you want to be mindful of how you appear, but you cannot sacrifice personal appearance for the function of seeking the truth.
Lawyers for the 5 accused are expected to do just that as they continue their first full day of cross-examination of EM. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, London, Ontario.
The air and ground search for 2 missing children in rural Nova Scotia is now in its 5th day. Dozens of volunteers worked through the night. They searched the wooded area near the home where the kids disappeared Friday. At this point, RCMP say they still believe the children wandered off. Nicolas Seguin reports.
Volunteers pushing through rough terrain and dense woods, hoping for a trace of 2 children who vanished. 6-year-old Lily Sullivan and her 4-year-old brother Jack.
They're like best friends, not just brother and sister.
Daniel Martel is their stepfather.
Jack just absolutely loves bugs, dinosaurs, and anything like that. But Lily loves girly things, but she also loves doing everything with Jack, Bug.
Officials believe the 2 children wandered off from their home in Lansdowne Station on Friday. It's a rural area of northwestern Nova Scotia, more than 100 kilometers from Halifax. Martel says he saw Lily and Jack that morning, then silence.
As soon as I noticed they weren't there, I immediately jumped right in the vehicle and surveyed all the area, every dirt road, every culvert they could find.
Police say they don't suspect an abduction and are calling in reinforcements to keep searching the area overnight with dogs, drones, and by foot. Corporal Carly McCann is with the Nova Scotia RCMP.
We've heard a lot about the impact that this is having on the community at large and the family, and it's really important that we locate these children.
Many are also lending a hand outside the search perimeter, preparing 3 meals a day at a nearby Salvation Army as the community holds its breath, hoping for good news. Nicolas Seguin, CBC News, Pictou County, Nova Scotia.
And that is the latest national and international news from World Report. News anytime, cbcnews.ca. I'm Marcia Young.